श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। कृदण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां भिषजे गौरोगिणां निधे सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मणिदे वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणे स्वयं व्यासेन कृतितां पुराणमलिनां मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीमष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्बा त्वामनुसन्तध्वामि भगवद्गीते भवेद्वेषिणि नारायणपरो व्यक्तादण्डमव्यक्तसम्भवं मण्डस्यान्तस्तु मे लोकाः सप्तद्वीपा च मेदिनी अवतीर्णश्च कालट्यां केदारेऽन्तरितश्च चतुष्पीठप्रतिष्ठाता जयताच्छङ्करो गुरुः शङ्खारूपेण मच्चित्तं पङ्कीकृतमुपोध्य किङ्किरीयससामाया शङ्कराचार्यमाश्रये। Previously, we were looking at 38th shloka in the Samkhya Yoga. So, Sukhadukkhe same kritva labha labho jaya jayo tato yuddha yujyasva naivam papam avapsasi. So, Bhagavan was saying to Arjuna that you perform your duty, whatever that's as per your varnashrama, whatever duty, as a kshatriya, whatever your duty, that duty you perform. And when you perform that duty without same kritva, so without any favor for sukha, dukkha, labha, or alabha, jaya, or victory or defeat, whatever, not thinking about any of that thing, treating all that equally. Tato yuddha yujyasva. So if you do like that, battle, take part in this battle, then naivam papam vapsasi. So you will not have any sin attached to it. So at the end of that, we were looking at the shlokas that Bhagavan said from 31st shloka to this 38th shloka. 31st shloka where he says Swadharmopavichavyakshya now you come pitumarvasi, right? So if you look at even your own dharma, then also you should not deviate from this battlefield or go away from this battlefield to this one, this shloka, 38th shloka, Sukhadakke same kritva labha labho jaya jayo. So till here, what he has said is purely from a laukika vichar. There is no tattva in there, no atma tattva or anything related to that. So it is purely as a somebody, he's saying that even if you, as a dharma, you should continue with this battle. But the core subject here under discussion, what Bhagavan is trying to say is from the 11th shloka, right? So where he says, you don't know what you're talking about, right? So from that shloka or from 12th shloka where he talks about natvevaham jatunasam natvam neme janadipa na chaiva na bhavishyamah sarve vayamatah param. So from that shloka to 30th shloka where he says dehi nityam avadhyoyam dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani natvam shochitum arhasi. So till that shloka, from let's say 11th shloka, he says that you don't know what you're talking about, ashochan shochasvam, right? So you are grieving for those who should not be grieved and things like that. So where he says that. So but from 12th shloka, he talks about completely till 30th shloka, he talks about Paramartha Darshana, right? So Atma Tattva, he talks about that. And now, in order to show the distinction between the two topics, that's talked in this Gita Śāstra, right? So there are two topics discussed in this Gita Śāstra. Anyone remembers from the very introduction, very beginning, and also introduction or Shankaracharya Bhashya introduction just before the 11th sloka, we talked about the two main paths to moksha. Two paths that's normally taken. Anyone remembers?
Karma
Yes.
yoga,
Bhakti yoga.
bhakti.
Sorry, somebody else was saying some answer. So two paths. One is jnana, right?
Yeah.
Jnana marga. Another one is karma, right?
Karma.
So nivritti marga, which is jnana, and then pravritti marga, which is karma. So now Bhagavan, what is done is from 11th shloka to 30th shloka, he's explained the jnana marga, right? So he's explained that. Now to move to the other one, karma marga or pravritti marga, karma yoga, he starts now saying in the 39th shloka, he starts saying that ete esha te biheta sankhya buddhi yoga tvam shrunu. So till now I had told you the sankhya yoga, right? So that atma jnana tattva, that tattva jnana, whatever we discussed, is sankhya yoga, right? Sankhya. It again just before the 11th shloka we looked at in detail, right? So Sankhya, the nature of the Atma, the Paramartha Darshana. So the Paramatma Tattva, that is what's determined by the Bhagavan in those texts, right? So from 11th to 31st shlokas, or 30th shloka, he is whatever he described is called Sankhya. Sankhya, again, if you remember, we said that is Samyak Khyayate, right? It is the knowledge, Samyak, the correct knowledge of the Vedas, which reveals the reality of Atma, Atmadat, right? Reveals the reality of the supreme goal or the Paramatma Darshana. That's why Sankhya is. Right? So the reality under the discussion which is related to the Sankhya, the way of that's being revealed is itself is Sankhya, right? So that how it gets revealed is Sankhya. That's Sankhya darshan. Now the buddhi, the conviction about that reality, we looked at again. I'm repeating what we said previously, just before the 11th shloka, after 10th shloka, right? Just so refresh the memory. So the buddhi that's related to that Sankhya, that Atma Tattva, that realization, the correct way of knowledge of Vedas, which reveals the Atma, the conviction about that is called Sankhya Buddhi, right? And those who follow that path are called Sankhyas, right? So they are called Sankhya's. Sankhya Yoga, yoga is added, is the method or the process or the way in which one follows that, and the buddhi or the conviction or the thought process that goes through one is called Sankhya Buddhi. On the other hand, the one that follows the rights and duties based on discriminating what is dharma, adharma, and also one presupposes the Atma's difference from the body and its agentship, its enjoyership, and all these things is called yoga. Yoga or also karma yoga. Okay, so that's called yoga, and the one that having that conviction is that conviction with regard to that karma yoga is yoga buddhi or karma yoga buddhi, and the one who performs that rights and duties with whom that kind of yoga buddhi is there is called yogi, right? So there are two different convictions, two different types of buddhis that Bhagavan talks about. One is Sankhya Buddhi, another one is Yoga Buddhi. Okay, so yoga is related to uh, uh, yoga is related to karma yoga. That's why in this 39th shloka, he talks about Esha te bihete sankhya buddhir yoge tivam shruna. We will come to that 39th shloka in a second. So he says that. So Sankhya buddhir yoge tivam shruna. So we will talk about whatever I said is up to now is Sankhya. And then also he talks about again these two convictions that buddhis, right, about Atma based on the rights and duties and other things Bhagavan talks about. Another one is purely based on the knowledge, right? So which does not have any which realizes ultimately that Atma is non-agentship and it's all those things. So what we looked at between the shlokas 12 and 30th. So that we have looked at already. So what here we are looking again is Bhagavan trying to make that distinction. And Shankaracharya in his Bhashya, he reminds that this is Bhagavan now moving from Samkhya message to Karma Yoga. So, because if that distinction is clear between the Samkhya, the Jnana Yoga, and then the Karma Yoga, if the distinction is clear, then whatever the rest that's going to come in Bhagavad Gita becomes clear. Okay. If that is not clear, then it becomes confusing, because again, when Shankaracharya quotes saying in the third chapter, Bhagavan says that Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam, Karma Yogena Yoginam, and so on. So he says that the Jnana Yoga, the yoga of knowledge, is for the men of realizations. It is for the Sankhyanam, it is for the Sankhyas, those who follow that Sankhya. And Karma Yogena Yoginam. So it is for the yogis the Karma Yoga. So he says that so there is two different adherences, two different paths that's to be followed, and that distinction is clear. And that's why Bhagavan says now in the 39th shloka, so he says that Esha te abhita sankhe buddhir yoge tuvam shrunu buddhya yukto yaya partha karma bandham prahasyasi. So, O Partha, this wisdom has been imparted to you from the standpoint of self-realization. Again, so that's from the Atma Jnana. But listen to this wisdom. Okay, so here again, there are two words used in Buddhi. Okay, Buddhi Yoga and Buddhya. We will come to the details in a second. So one is related to Sankhya, another one refers to Karma Yoga. So, but listen to this wisdom from the standpoint of yoga. Which is endowed with wisdom, you will get rid of the bondage of action. So the karma bandham, that prahasyasi. So you will remove that bondage of action. When any karma you do, the attachment related to that, will be removed. So if you go into a little bit details on the words, Esha means here hitherto, or from this point, whatever that's important to you. Te means to you. Abhita is explained. Sankhya means the Sankhya Yoga, the Sankhya knowledge, the correct knowledge. Buddhi Yoga means the yoga of jnana. And then tu means indeed. Imam means this. Shrunu is listen. Buddhya again by understanding. Yuktva means united. Yaya means by which. Partha is addressing Arjuna. Karma bandha is bondage of karmas. Prahasyasi means you shall be released from that. Now, Bhagavan addresses him as Partha, Arjuna. This buddhi, this wisdom, okay, so this again, buddhi here is jnana, the tattva or the viveka, okay, so it is tattva jnana. So this wisdom, the knowledge which directly removes the defects that is responsible for sorrow and delusion and things like that, which results, and that defect constitutes of this samsara, this mundane existence, that has been imparted to you. Okay, so the wisdom that removes that kind of defect, okay, has been imparted to you. So what are those defects? The ignorance of the true nature of the Atma itself. So that ajnana, that whatever that's there, that covers, that makes us think that this body is different from Atma. Okay, so I am different, I am this body. Okay, that ajnana, that removal of that defect has been told by me. Okay, so again, that removes this from that. Anyone that has that ajnana, they have this, because of that defect, the characteristic of that defect is the samsara, okay, which consists of attractions, repulsions, agentship, enjoyership. So I am doing this, okay, that kind of agentship, or I'm going to enjoy this, okay. So these are all, and then attracting to something, sukha, dukkha, labha, alabha, all these things, right? So whatever Bhagavan said in the previous shloka. So all those things, if one experiences, then that's the samsara, okay. So these are the defects that they arise from that ajnana about one's atma. If one has that atma ajnana about that atma, then that defects is arise. And enlightenment is the independent and is the sole cause of removing that ignorance. So that jnana itself that removes this. So what Bhagavan says is, I have imparted that wisdom to you, the wisdom that I have imparted between the shlokas 12 and 30th, whatever that's imparted, from the standpoint of self-realization, Sankhya, from the standpoint of self-realization that has been imparted with regard to discriminating the knowledge of Paramatma Darshan. So again, from supreme reality, from knowledge of supreme reality, understanding that, differentiating that, I have imparted that knowledge. Now, to that means, but Shrunu, listen. Okay, now listen, but listen to this wisdom. Okay, Imam means to this, which is the wisdom which will be imparted presently. Okay, the wisdom, that knowledge, the wisdom that I'm going to impart to you currently, which is from the standpoint of yoga, from the standpoint of means of attaining that knowledge. Okay, so far up to from 12th to 30th shloka talked about jnana. Okay, attaining what happens when that Sankhyas, from the standpoint of realization, how that Atma is realized. Now, to attain that knowledge, okay, from the standpoint of means of attaining that knowledge, that is in the context of Karma Yoga, I'm going to explain it. The performance of rights and duties, whatever one does, with detachment after destroying the pairs of opposites. Okay, for the sake of adoring the Ishvara, and also in the context of practice of spiritual absorption. So what Bhagavan here again says this, doing the duties, rights and duties is one thing, but Karma Yoga is with performing those rights and duties with detachment. Okay, so after destroying the pairs of opposites, so Shankaracharya here again says, Yogetu tat praptipaye nisangataya dvanda praharana purvakam. So dvanda, so that's the opposites. Okay, prahana purvakam. So after destroying those, then Ishvara aradhanarte. Okay, so it is for the sake of pleasing Bhagavan. Okay, we are doing this puja. Let's say we are going to do a puja. Okay, karma yoga. We are going to do a rites, and we are going to do this not for some gain, personal gain. Okay, when one does that puja for Ishvara aradhanarte, for the purpose of adoring Ishvara, for the purpose of making pleasing Bhagavan, then that is what I'm going to teach you now. So, and also in the context of practicing the spiritual absorption. Again, karmanushtane samadhi yogecha imam anantaramevochama manam buddhim shrunu. So you listen to this. Now I'm going to impart this knowledge to you. Okay. So I have told you about self-realization from the standpoint of self-realization. Now I'm going to tell you attaining that knowledge by the means of karma yoga. So by performing karmas, that is rights and duties, whatever that's one assigned to one's varnashrama, and also the duties assigned to everybody, common duties, and the ones that's one may wish to do for pleasing but it all has to be for adoring the Ishvara Aradhana. Okay, it is for the adoring the Ishvara Bhagavan only. That's the only objective, and again, completely with detachment. Okay, completely detachment from all the benefits that one may get. Again, we looked at previously, benefits may come as a result of that. Right. So last time when I was explaining Nitya Karma, I explained that. So benefits may come as a result of that, but one should not hanker for those benefits. So if, for example, when we are doing a puja or anything like that, right? Sankalpa time, we say that, say, Parameshwara Prityartham, that's normally is there. Okay, so we are doing this puja to please Parameshwara. So to please Ishvara, we are doing this puja. But then also we had Asmakam Sakutumbanam, blah, 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 right? So for my family, do this, for my wife, do this, for my son, do this, and for me, do all those things. For all those reasons, we have a huge list, right? When we go to temple, we say, do Ashtotra Shatanam Puja. Okay, priest does, let's say, 108 names chanting, but we will give, along with 100 names, we will give 108 demands to Bhagavan, right? So that's not Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is, we are doing this just to please Bhagavan. Okay. So not our own list saying that I want all these demands. If you look at, for example, Vidyaranya Swami, he's Aparadakshimapana Stotra, he says that after performing Devi's worship, in that Aparadakshimapana Stotra, Vidyaranya says that, give me what you think is right. Okay. So you do what you think is right. So I don't know any of these pujas and things like that Vidyaranya says. And then he says that you do what is right, what you think is right. Devi, you do what is right. So that's what it should be. So it is not you give me that, give me this. It is you give me, you do what is right. Okay. So you know what's need to be given or not given or whatever it is. That doesn't matter. All I'm doing is for pleasing you, for the sake of you, for the sake of adoring you. I'm doing all these rights and duties. So that's the mentality one should come. One should not think that I am doing this, that kartrutva buddhi, so that I am the doer, I'm the one who is doing all this. That agentship should not be there, and I'm going to enjoy the benefits of this karma. That enjoyership should not be there. So that's what it says. Again, as a incentive, Bhagavan also says that this wisdom, okay, so he says that this wisdom, he praises this wisdom, this knowledge, this buddhi, saying that yuktva, this is endowed with this wisdom concerning this yoga, O Partha, prahasyasi, you will get rid of karma bandha. Okay, so you will get rid of karma bandha. So by this following this karma yoga, you will get rid of karma bandha. Because what is karma bandha? So again, bondage of that karma. When I said, so we will have this huge list, right? Bhagavan, give me that, give me this, give me this. Okay, so assuming we do the puja properly, Bhagavan has to give that to us, right? Because we did puja, he has to give that to us. So when he has to give that, if my prarabdha from all the previous lives is so long, right? I have to go through so many things, and I'm asking for something new now, and I'm not going to get it. So what happens? I have to get another life to experience whatever I demanded now, right? So that's the karma bandha, the bondage. So whatever I'm asking may not come in this life. It may come in next life or the one after, whenever, right? So that's the karma bandha. So the only way to get out of that is what Bhagavan is saying here is do it, these rights and duties for Ishvara Aradhanartham. So just for that, that's why Bhagavan says that by following this karma yoga, there is benefit. The benefit is the action, whatever you are going to do itself, that karma bandha prahasyasi, it will remove that to karma bandha. So because action itself is a bondage. Okay. described as right is dharma and adharma. So karmaiva dharma dharmakyo bandha karma bandha. So karma action itself is a bondage. Shankaracharya clearly says here that action, any karma that one performs is a bondage. So because we always expect results. So, but Bhagavan says that through karma yoga, you will get rid of that bondage by attainment of knowledge through Ishvara's grace, Ishvara prasada. Through that, you will get knowledge. That's self-realization. It will become a means to attaining that knowledge. And that's what here this shloka says. So again, just to be little bit going a little bit further on this. So normally there are three paths. So we always say ultimate aim is moksha, right? So there is three paths, right? So one is jnana, atma jnana, which is to attain that atma jnana. There are the three paths. One is bhakti. We'll come to the bhakti part later in Bhagavad Gita. Bhakti is normally the easiest one because it has very little little restrictions on it, on time, place, and things like that. Okay, and it doesn't require any preparations and things like that. So bhakti is the easiest. Then karma. Karma is a little bit difficult because you have difficulty of due to time, place, and things like that. You have to prepare. So I'm doing the puja means you have to prepare, procure all the items. You have to find the priest. You may have to do all these kind of things. Okay, so that may require that. Even daily puja, if you have to do this, you have to prepare for all that, right? So, and the most difficult one to Atma Jnana, the self-realization, is the Jnana Marga, right? That's the most difficult one, but that's the most beneficial because bhakti or karma becomes the means to attain that jnana. And jnana, ultimately, it all leads to the jnana, and that jnana is the finally self-realization. Okay, that goes into Atma Jnana. So that's when we realize aham Brahmasmi, I am the Brahma. Okay, Tattvamasi, all these Veda Upanishad Vakyas, whatever we see, that realization comes when that attains that complete jnana of the Paramatma. Atma and Paramatma both are same. So that's when one realizes, and that's when it comes. So again, Sankhya is again, as I said, is the means of what's said in the Vedas. It is the knowledge, and in which the Atma, reality of the Paramatma, is fully presented in those Vedas, Upanishads, and it is established again with normal, and it's fully presented and established in those Upanishads. And Sankhya again is because it's established by those Upanishads, Alain, that's why it is the final conclusion. Okay, so that's the clear statement here, and the knowledge, because the Upanishad Vakya again, Upanishad clearly says that the knowledge or the buddhi regarding that entity, that Paramatma, that self, uh, that Paramatma Supreme Self alone is the source of ending of all the evils. Okay, so that's why Bhagavan here clearly says that the whatever I told you is the Sankhya that I have told you this. So that's the ultimate one that removes everything. But because one has this kind of knowledge, action cannot perform. So those kind of persons who has self-realization, again, we looked at previously just before 11th shloka after the 10th one, action, the work, karma, and knowledge cannot be together. Okay, so one who has attained that self-realization, they are not attached, or they're not attached to any karmas. Again, there is a huge, it will come again and again in this Gita Śāstra. Shankaracharya clearly explains. So it is very clear. So that's why Bhagavan again and again reminds as well in this Gita, saying that you action should not be enjoined with that, and should not be enjoined. So he again says in the third chapter, for example, it says that Atmaneva cha santushtasya karyam na vidyate. So you should not do for that. So like this, Bhagavan previously also said sukha same kritva, right? So treating happiness and sorrow with equanimity. So you perform this karma. So that's again saying that renunciation of desiring the results is important, and that's why, since the instruction of knowledge is one for those whose mind has become purified, so Sankhya is for those whose mind is already purified, and but the karma is for those whose mind is not yet pure, and that's why there is no scope for conflict here, saying that okay, Bhagavan is suggesting both Sankhya and karma to Arjuna. Okay, so Bhagavan is saying that I told you this Sankhya, the self-realization method, the how that's I told you, but I'll also tell you this one. It doesn't mean that Arjuna has been asked to do both things. Again, we'll come to this in third chapter, first shloka itself. Arjuna got confused by these two statements, but he will ask and Bhagavan again explains. So Shankaracharya here next starts explaining. So in the next set of shlokas, Bhagavan starts explains that this karma yoga is a safe course, safe path than jnana yoga. Okay, why it is safe? For those whose mind is not pure. Okay, for them who have this defect of ajnana, okay, who is in this samsara bond, for them this yoga, karma yoga, is safe path. He explains that, and we will look at that in the 40th shloka. So this shloka here, it says that nehabhikramanashosti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. So why this karma yoga is safe path? Because Bhagavan here says that here, that is in this karma yoga, there is no waste of an attempt, nor there is any harm. Even a little of this dharma, righteousness, saves one from great fear. So what does that mean? We'll look at this in detail. But na neha here means na iha. So that means not in this. Abhikrama means effort. Nashaha means loss. Asti means there is. Pratyavaya means adverse result. Na vidyate means not is. Solpam means a little. Solpam, yes, solpam means a little. Api means even. Asya means of this, and dharmasya means occupation. Trayate means saves. Mahato bhayat means from great danger or fear. So in this path here, in the path to moksha, right? So in the path to moksha, that is the through karma yoga, yoga of action, that is rights and duties, there is no abhikramanasha, waste of attempt. Okay, so Bhagavan says there is no abhikramanasha, there is no waste of attempt from a beginning, unlike as in agriculture, etc. So Shankaracharya says that as in agriculture, etc., there is abhikramanasha. Okay, so but in this karma yoga, there is no such thing. What is abhikramanasha here? Agriculture example means, so let's say we sow seeds. Okay, a farmer sows seeds in his field this year. There is no rain. Those seeds were there, and all the effort that he did went to waste. Next year, when it season comes, he has to sow again, right? So those seeds are no use. So he has to start all over. So, but it is not like that here. So Shankaracharya says, and Bhagavan says, there is no abhikramanasha in the karma yoga. The meaning is the result of any attempt in the case of this yoga, okay, in the case of the yoga is not uncertain. It is not uncertain. That is, it is definite. Okay, result is guaranteed. So that's why So if you look at Abhikramanasha a little bit more, so let's give a practical example, okay, real life example. Abhikramanasha means in this life, I've done bachelor's degree, let's say. I've done from University of London, whatever, okay, London School of Economics, I had blah, 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 blah. Some university, I had a bachelor's degree. Die, I get a birth, and then can I go to London University, whatever that university, and say, last life, previous birth, I completed this bachelor's degree and I want to join masters. Can you do that? We can't, right? So that's the nasha. Whatever you did in that life, to get destroyed. Okay, that's the Abhikramanasha. But in Karma Yoga, it does not happen. Okay. As to that, in the Chandogya Upanishad, for example, says that as to that in this world, the result acquired through actions get exhausted. Okay, so the whatever that results that get and come through, that get exhausted, because the results of this, that is the selfless work in through Karma Yoga one does, that is the purification of mind one gets, there is no decay. So if one does, let's say, little bit of work through this Karma Yoga, following this Karma Yoga, one does that work, that purification of mind, whatever one gets, it comes in the next birth as well. Now just think about this. Okay. Is it true? Okay. Just think about this. So for example, so many Hindus are around, right? So many people say we are Hindus, we follow Sanatana Dharma. Everybody wants to know Bhagavad Gita, right? And everybody interested. Let's check this session itself as an example. So many interested, right? So many said, I'm interested. That's something from their previous life, purification mindset. I want to listen. I want to know about this, right? Or I want to do this. So that comes from their mind, from that purification of mind they had in the previous lives. So then some started joining, right? So that's again is because of that work that's done, and now they are adding more, that purification, that effort comes in. So I'm just giving one simple example, but it can happen in the same thing. So not everybody gets involved in these kind of things, right? So whether rituals, rites, whatever it is. So that's because that purification is not there from previous lives. So what Bhagavan is saying here is there is no destruction of the result of that action that's performed through Karma Yoga, because the hankering of knowledge, which culminates in result realization, is the result of a selfless action. Because when you are performing the rights and duties through Karma Yoga, you're not attaching yourself to any results. And that's why it is important. And that's why that removes that ultimately results in elimination of this ajnana, and one that results in the uh, realization, right? So again, that's why nor does there arises any pratyavaya, any harm, but swalpampi, even a little of this dharmasya, righteousness in the form of yoga of action, that is the karma yoga, when practiced, saves one from great fear of what is that great fear? Samsara, the cycle of birth and death. It saves one from that. So even a little bit of karma yoga practice ultimately results in purification of mind, that atma jnana, and then one saves it from that great fear. So great fear here talked about the samsara. So that's what Bhagavan says. And then we will look at the uh, the next shloka in the next class, or which is Vyavasatmika buddhi rekeha kurunandana bhushaka anantascha buddhi vyavasayana avyavasayana. So we'll look at this next time when we gather. Any questions for today?